Okay, I think we're ready to start. We're going to go to James Cole from Sky Sports News. Go ahead, James.
Hi, Chris. So you've named your squad, no uncapped players. Was it a straightforward squad to pick? Were there any close calls? Were you tempted to chuck in an uncapped player?
Obviously, you talk about many people when you're going through a role like this, possible wildcards. But to be fair, it was pretty straightforward. I think we've got a nice blend there between youth, experience. We've got, like you said, there's no uncapped players there, and they've all got experience behind them now. Some of playing in Australia haven't played in Australia, but I don't see that as a problem, to be honest. But I think what we have got is a well-balanced squad that we have for all conditions.
Very few people are giving you guys a chance. Is this a squad capable of winning the Ashes?
I think we'll be very competitive out there. If we look at the facts, really have been very, very strong over the years in the garden, and we have to respect that. But we have over the last 5, 6, 7 months played against the top 2 teams in the world. We have learned a hell of a lot of them. If you look at teams like India that have been to Australia and been successful, and we look at them, what do they do? How do they go about their business? So there's a strong belief within our camp to go out there and do something very special. The game plans are not too dissimilar, talked about in the past, and they've shown that game plan can be successful out there. So we'll be learning from them.
And how do you feel about the prospect of being such big underdogs and the fact that everyone's writing you off already?
It doesn't bother me in the slightest, to be honest. We look at the strength of what has gone before. Australia has been very strong in previous. And I should imagine the expectations from their public is on them to win. But as I said, from my point of view, from the team's point of view, we believe that we've got a squad there that can achieve.
Could that expectation work in your favour?
Possibly, but as I always say, we're going to worry about what we do in our camp and make sure that we're best prepared. We've got a great opportunity. What's in front of us, being alongside specialists out in Australia. So they're going to get a good couple of games in. And look at what's gone before. Test now under COVID conditions. And we've gained a lot of experience of living in bubbles, playing under bubbles. Some of our players are fried. We only have to look at Joe Root for an argument's sake. He's captained all those 18 tests. And he's currently in the middle of one of his best seasons. 1,300, 1,308 runs at an average of 69. It's not too bad, that he's playing under tough conditions and what's been thrown at us. So, I think we've got a lot going for us, and I think our prep will be excellent.
No, Ben Stokes. Have you spoken to him? How is he? And is there any chance he could join up later in the Ashes tour?
Listen, Ben is moving forward. The communications I've had with him, he's definitely more upbeat. But what I will say is there'll be no pressure from me for him to rush back. And when he's ready, I've said, when you're ready, you call me and we'll make a plan from there. So obviously there's no pressure from my end, and we'll put no date on it. But
it's a possibility?
Listen, there's no pressure from me. I'm not going to tell him when he needs to be back. I'll be led by him. And obviously my first and foremost concern is his well-being. And when he does come back, to make sure he's in the right place.
Okay, last couple from me. I just wonder how much of a disruption the uncertainty over the tour has been for your preparations. Has it hindered your preparations?
Not really, to be honest. Like I said, we've had some tough tests coming into this. Playing against New Zealand and India, the 2 best teams in the world at the moment, has been great preparation for us. As I've just touched on, the preparation we're going to get in Australia is excellent. And, I have to say a massive thank you to Cricket Australia and to the Australian government for helping us get to the point where the series is, as it stands, is going ahead to get to this point. And, just to say how well done, Joe did in particular in leading from the front with the players in the negotiations around this series. I thought he showed a lot of class. He showed a lot of empathy towards both sides of the argument, from towards Cricket Australia and equally towards his players. And his players have got behind that and will follow him, and so will I and my staff. So, I think we've got to a good place here, and I'm looking forward to what should be a very competitive series in Australia.
What did you make of some of the criticism of Joe Root and the players, Surrey and Botham, saying they're hiding behind the COVID protocols, for example?
Listen, everybody will have an opinion on this, and I respect that completely. Having lived through so much bubble time, and bear in mind we have spent more time in biosecure environments than any other team. I understand how hard that is, and I understand how hard it is for the players to perform under there. So, as I said, huge praise to everybody that's been involved in the negotiations, from Cricket Australia, the ECB, to the Australian government, to get us to this point. And from my point of view, to have all the players buy into what we have now, and to get them in a state of mind where we can go out there and we can compete, which is the ultimate thing. We want the players in a state of mind that they can go out there and compete and worry about the cricket that's in front of them and enjoy the cricket that's in front of them. So I'm just grateful we're at that point now.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. Let's go to Joe Wilson.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Danny. Yeah, can I pick up on that point, Chris, actually, because the build up to this has been unique by anybody's standards. And, a lot of people, cricket fans, and of course, cricket media have been speculating for a long time. Look, who's going to go? What's the squad going to look like? Are you convinced that right now, every player that you've named is completely committed to this tour?
As all the information we have at the moment and what we've been put in front of us, we're all committed to going.
And the mindset is right, Chris, because it's always tough going to Australia, whatever the circumstances.
Oh, listen, it is. That's one of the exciting things about it as well, boys. It's an iconic series that, every young cricketer growing up wants to play in it. And as a coach, you want to coach in it. And I think it's massively exciting that actually, this series is going ahead. We're at the point where, everybody's committed and we're all going. And I think, the mindset now will shift towards performance. And that's how it's got to be. And I will be speaking to the players about that and the staff, and making sure that when we turn up in Australia, whether it be the red ball specialists arriving for the Lions first, or the multi-formats arriving from the World Cup here, we'll make sure we're in the right mind space to come out there and compete.
Did many of these players take a lot of persuading, Chris, to get to this stage?
I think, obviously there's a lot of negotiations went on. But I think one thing that we did see was a lot of class from our captain, and he really did lead from the front on this. And I know I've already said this, but I'm going to repeat it. He showed a lot of class, a lot of empathy, and a lot of real good leadership skills to get the players to this point, to help get to the players to this point. And equally, the way he looked after the staff as well. He spoke about the staff in there, and I think what it has done is it's galvanised his position as a leader. All the boys have recognised that, all my staff have recognised that. And I think what it's done is it's made us all pull in behind him. And I can't emphasize enough how classy he was within those negotiations, and the way he listened to both sides of the argument, and came back with quite a level view on everything, and it really helped get us to this point.
Just a final one from me. I wonder, in your mind, or in Joe Root's mind, or anybody's mind, was the broader idea, Chris, that for Test cricket to really continue to have a significance and a momentum, then the Ashes just has to happen?
Well, as I said to you before, everybody wants to play in the Ashes. Young lads coming through to the older statesmen that are in the group, everybody wants to play in the Ashes. And I'm sure the Australian cricketers feel exactly the same. It is a massive series that has always been played hard between two very, very passionate nations. And I'm just, honestly, I'm so pleased that actually the Ashes is going to take part, and we're going to see that, that competition there now.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Joe. Let's go Rory and then John. Rory, go ahead.
Thank you. Cheers, Chris. Hi. In your previous position as bowling coach and then leading into the head coach role, it's been no secret that you were trying to build that battery of 90-mile-an-hour fast bowlers with half an eye on this series. Circumstances kind of denied you that for various reasons. I just wonder, do you think Plan B are you going to be able to get through with Plan B and take 20 wickets and win 2 or 3 Test matches without that plan that you'd obviously staked quite?
Oh, Rory, you've dropped out, mate. I think I got most of that, Rory. If I miss anything, just come back to me. I think we can. Every plan has got to be adaptable. Obviously we have got one 90-plus-mile-an-hour bowler in there, in Woody. But I think the one thing that we have got in, the bowling attack is supreme accuracy. You look at the bowlers that are there, the one thing they're very good at is hitting the stumps and bringing the stumps into play time and time again. So as I said to you, we watched, how India performed in Australia. We try and learn lessons off them all the time. I'm very curious as a bloke, so I'm constantly watching. as are my bowling attack. So what we'll be doing is looking back over the plans that India used and adapting any of those to what our bowling attack is. You know, I mean, how do we get the best out of the bowling attack we have got, rather than worrying about what we haven't got, because there's nothing we can do about that, so it's pointless. So we'll be using the skills we have in the best possible way, and I do believe that we can make it work.
Sure. Looking at your spinners, obviously you've got Jack and Dom there who played a wee bit.
What's cutting out?
Sorry, Rory, you're cutting out. Maybe take off your camera. That might be easier. Sorry about that.
He's gone.
Can you hear us? Okay. Yeah. Let's go to John then. John Etheridge, come in, John, and we'll go back to Rory.
Okay, Chris, can we talk a bit about the top order batting, which obviously is going to be very important? Dom Sibley has been left out. Other players who were dropped during the summer, Crawley, Pope, are back in. Or could you just talk your thoughts through on that and how the guys are going to go against Stark, Cummins, and Hazelwood?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, there's no hiding from the fact that Australia have got a high-class bowling attack. We know that. They have had for a while now. We've got to accept that and embrace it. They've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes for a long time now about how we're going to combat that. So, I mean, the preparation we're getting moving into that will give them the best chance of succeeding. We saw Olly come back strong in the last test match he played and made a lovely 80 there. So we know he's a good player and we know what he's capable of. Obviously, we've got Haas, who's forced his way back in at the top of the order. Joe, whose stats speak for himself, we know he's class. But the rest of them, there's no hiding from it. We have to score runs. So at some point, we do need people to put their hands up. There's no point hiding away from that fact. We do, and it's something that we're going to work very hard on and give the guys all the confidence we can give them to make sure that they perform out there. But I can promise you this, they are working very hard to make sure that they are successful out there.
Sibley got a future? I mean, he's obviously lost his contract as well. His situation.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, as I've said to him, I'll repeat the same to you, is that, this is not the end of the road for him. He has to go score some runs with Warwickshire and force his way back in. I will always be keeping an eye on him, and my phone is always on to him. The door is definitely not closed. He's just going to force his way back in.
Obviously, with Stokes missing, Livingstone seems a similar sort of character. Were you not tempted to pick him? I mean, he offers a bit, obviously, depending with the bat and the ball and in the field, and through his sort of forceful personality.
Yeah, I mean, Livingstone was talked about. He was definitely talked about. Obviously, we didn't go in that direction in the end. But I mean, the great thing is that Livy now is throwing his hat in the ring and making us look up and watch him. And again, the strides he made. The last year, especially in white ball cricket, he's putting his hat in the ring, which is fantastic from my point of view. Down the line, it's going to give us more options.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to Rory, then we'll go to Ali. Rory, you there?
I am sorry, I disappeared on you. I was going to say you've talked about having an experienced team, and obviously there's no uncapped players here. I just wonder, looking at Australia, having played so little Test cricket in the last year or since the pandemic, just 4 tests in that period, do you feel like actually, although you've lost a few games along the way, that you're pretty battle hardened compared to how they might rock up?
Yeah, that is, what I've sort of briefly touched on that earlier. I think, we are battle hardened. We've had sort of some success along the way. We've proved that we can compete with India. But I think the important thing for me is that our players have seen what the best in the world look like. They've played against it. They felt what it is to have them push against us. But we have also tasted success against them. You look at the Headingley test when we came back very strong there. We've shown that we have got the skills within the ranks to take 20 wickets and push for best. So I see that as a real positive and a real galvanizer to the group to be able to handle pressure now. They're getting to see it more and more and more, which is great. From an Australian point of view, obviously, I should imagine, and obviously I don't really want to speak for Justin or, the captain. But, 4 games, I'm sure they'd like more than that. But unfortunately, conditions at times just don't allow that. So, we have to respect that. But like I said, our prep, I would say, certainly with having the Lions out there and 2 games against ourselves, You know, I mean, we've got two very good sides there going up against each other, which should be real tough cricket in itself, because you've got the guys that obviously want to compete in the Ashes and want to do well to the guys that actually want to be in the Ashes. So we can really set out to be two very, very good games there. So, you know, I mean, I don't really want to concern myself too much with the Australian prep. It's not my business, and respectfully, I'll stay out of that one. But what I am concerned about is how good ours will be. And I think we've given ourselves the best chance.
Nice one, thank you.
Okay, let's go Ali, Martin, Dean Wilson, and then Lawrence.
Hi, Chris. I'm just wondering, on a practical level, is it possible for Ben Stokes to join the squad at a later date? And is the spot sort of there available for him? If so, I'm talking quarantine, etc.
Yeah, listen, Ali, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go back to my old answer today. I'm seriously not going to put any pressure on Ben whatsoever to come back. When Ben is ready, he'll give me a call. And then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it and make plans where necessary. But first and foremost, you know, I mean, my first intent is to make sure that he's okay from a well-being point of view. And when he's back, you know, he's back to perform.
And just in terms of the rest of the squad, I mean, we obviously had a not similar, but he wasn't on the last Ashes tour, and perhaps players were thinking about that time when he might come back, etc. How important is it that the players just focus on the group that's there and not worry about whether someone's going to come back and etc.?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I think it is. It's all about the players, the group, and how they work together. And I think that's the important thing there. You know, I mean, we have got some very, very good players out there, you know, I mean, who are match winners in their own right. So I think we've got to encourage that. And it is all about the group that is there. And that's all we've got to worry about.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Dean and then Lawrence Booth to finish.
Yeah, hi, Spoons. Just wondered, do you get a sense, I mean, Australia haven't played a huge amount of cricket, obviously, but the last Test series they played, they did lose. Do you get a sense that there's a bit of pressure building on their side, and that actually you've got an opportunity just to kind of ramp that up? There's been a lot of issues amongst their camp and questions about their coach. Is that something that you can try and play on and stir up a little bit?
Dean, you know, I mean, I'm always very respectful of obviously the opposition coach and players and backroom staff and stuff like that. But as with anything in this job, there's pressure. I mean, there's pressure on me to for the team to perform, and there's pressure, you know, I mean, on the Australian management for, you know, I mean, for the team to perform as well. You know, I mean, as I said, you know, I mean, they're a very proud nation. They like to fight hard in the Ashes, and I'm sure they're wanting to put right what happened in the India series. Like I said, we've played against India a lot. We've learned a lot from them, but they have also shown us what is possible in Australia, which obviously, I mean, we'll be looking at and learning from. But as I said, you know, when you've got two groups of people that will be playing hard, and two captains that will want to be leading from the front. So for me, it's, you know, I mean, we've got to worry about what we're doing, and respectfully leave what they're worrying about to them, and that's what we'll do.
And I know it's a completely different format, but obviously the T20, you know, is a form of cricket coming up for both sides, and I guess, you know, confidence kind of can feel from one to the other. You're hoping that you might just be able to get a nudge ahead in this tournament, if possible.
Absolutely. I mean, confidence, I mean, does flow, doesn't it? I mean, whether in whichever format of the game, if you're doing well, then you carry that confidence with you as a bloke. And for me, if we can do well here, which obviously we're aiming to do, we will take that with us. Obviously, we have then the transition period between arriving in Australia and sort of joining with the two group with a group that's already out there. We've got to make sure that transition is good and well managed. But yeah, if we do well in the World Cup, we can take that confidence with us, which will be superb.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, let's finish with Lawrence.
Hi, Chris. Just wondered, given England's sort of traditional struggles for taking 20 wickets in Australia, how tempted you were by a wicket-taking leggy like Matt Parkinson?
Yeah, again, you know, I mean, Parky was talked about a lot, but we went for the two that we have to, because obviously, if you look at Leach, one of his super strengths is how accurate it is. And again, we've obviously been watching how the Indians prepared and played in Australia, so we want accurate bowlers. That's one of his super strengths. So obviously, we went that way. But Parky, you know, he is an interesting option. And, you know, I mean, he is a wicket taker and he's something a little bit different. So, you know, I mean, his name was in the mix, but unfortunately he didn't get the nod on this occasion.
And presumably, without wanting to sort of second guess, he'll probably be in the Lions squad, so he might be around anyway if needed.
Yeah, potentially.
Right.
Obviously, the Lions squad will be announced in due course. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Any more questions? I think we're done then. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining us. And for those that are coming out to the UAE, we look forward to seeing you soon. Cheers.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Danny.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks, Bruce.